Hey everyone, and welcome! Today, we are diving into one of the most exciting tools for AI developers out there right now, LangChain. So if you've ever wanted to build your own powerful, custom applications on top of large language models, you are in exactly the right place. It's a huge question, isn't it? I mean, you've got these incredible models like GPT-4, but they live in their own little world. They don't know anything about your company's internal documents, your personal notes, or your specific database. So how do you bridge that gap? Well, that is the exact problem that we're going to solve today. And here is our answer, LangChain. To put it simply, it's an open-source framework that acts as the essential glue. It's what lets developers connect those powerful LLMs with external data sources, tools, and all sorts of complex workflows. This makes it possible to build applications that are not just smart, but also incredibly useful and totally context-aware. So how does LangChain actually pull this off? Well, it's not just one single piece of software, but more like a powerful toolkit. Let's open it up and break down the core components. These are the building blocks that you can combine in some truly amazing ways.
And really, this modularity is LangChain's superpower. The best way to think of it is like a set of Lego blocks, or maybe a Swiss Army knife for AI. Each little component, models, prompts, chains, and so on, it has a very specific job. The really game-changing part is that you can just snap them together in any combination you want to build exactly what you need. That gives developers incredible flexibility and control.
All right, let's start with the absolute fundamentals. First up, you have chains. Think of these as the recipes for your application. They basically define a sequence of actions. And then you have prompts. Prompts are your way of talking to the AI. They're like templates that let you structure your questions really precisely, making sure you get the kind of answer you're actually looking for. It's all about creating a reliable, repeatable workflow.
Now let's talk about the real brains of the operation, the agents. An agent can look at a user's request and actually decide which tool to use or what sequence of actions to take to get the job done. And the models, well, they're the language models themselves, the ones doing all the heavy lifting. The cool thing about LangChain is that it's super flexible, letting you plug in models from OpenAI, Hugging Face, or whoever you want, so you can always choose the best tool for the job. Okay, and these last two components, they are absolutely crucial for building apps that feel truly useful. Vector databases are kind of like super-powered libraries for your AI. They let it quickly find relevant information based on meaning, not just simple keywords. And memory management, well, that gives your application a short-term memory, so it can actually remember what you talked about earlier in a conversation and give you coherent, contextual responses.
So, we've got our building blocks. Now, how do we put them all together to do something really powerful, like answer questions based on our own documents? That's where a core LangChain pattern comes in, and it's called the RAG pipeline.
And this right here illustrates the entire process beautifully. RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And really, the name says it all. First, we retrieve some relevant information, and then we use that to augment the LLM's ability to generate a fantastic answer. Think of this diagram as our map for the next few steps. Let's just walk through this process step by step. First up is all about data prep. We take our documents, PDFs, text files, whatever, and split them into smaller, manageable chunks. Then we create something called embeddings. Think of an embedding as a unique digital fingerprint for the meaning of that text. These embeddings then get stored in our vector database. Okay, so next, a user comes along and asks a question. We do the same thing to their question. We turn it into an embedding, its own little digital fingerprint. Now for the magic, we perform what's called a similarity search, comparing the question's fingerprint to all the document fingerprints to find the most relevant chunks of information. And finally, we send the user's original question plus that relevant context we just found over to the LLM. This gives it the specific knowledge it needs to generate a fact-based, super accurate answer.
Okay, so that's the theory. But let's see what this actually looks like in practice. You might be thinking a process like RAG sounds pretty complicated to code up, but LangChain makes it remarkably, almost shockingly, straightforward.
The secret sauce behind this simplicity is the LangChain Expression Language, or LCL for short. It introduces this pipe operator, that little vertical bar symbol. It lets you chain your components together in a way that's not just functional, but also incredibly easy to read. You're literally piping the output of one step right into the input of the next one, just like connecting garden hoses.
So a basic chain looks just like this. See how clean that is? We start with our prompt template to get the user's input formatted correctly. We pipe that into the LLM for the actual thinking. And finally, we pipe the LLM's raw output into a simple parser to get back a clean, usable piece of text. It's just a beautiful, logical flow.
And here is the payoff. This is what it's all about. On the left, you can see just how little code is actually needed to run our chain. And on the right, that's the result. It's not just some generic answer, it's a detailed, well-reasoned response about in-demand career skills, all based on the context we provided. This right here is the aha moment for so many developers. You get these incredibly sophisticated results from just a few lines of simple code.
Now that you understand the components and you've seen a simple example in action, let's zoom out a bit. What kind of powerful, real-world applications can you actually build with a framework like this?
Well, the possibilities are just vast. You can build chatbots that actually remember your conversations. You could create a system that lets you ask questions of thousands of pages of legal documents or scientific papers and get precise answers back in seconds. You can automate complex business workflows, build powerful knowledge management tools for your team, or even create interfaces that let you query a giant database using just plain English.
So when you boil it all down, what's the key takeaway? LangChain gives you this incredible modular toolkit and the logical framework to connect powerful language models to your unique data and your goals. We've seen the building blocks. We've walked through the process. The only question left is the one for you. What are you going to build?